Modern dating doesn't feel like dating anymore. It feels like a job interview, except the position keeps changing, the HR rules are inconsistent, and every applicant gets ghosted before the second round. You're expected to be vulnerable but not too emotional, confident but not arrogant, funny but not cringy, financially stable but not controlling. It's a circus of contradictions, and men are the clowns footing the bill. Because make no mistake, dating today is expensive. The average night out in a major city costs around $118, and that's before the Uber, the drinks, and the silent walk home after a thanks for dinner text. Do that 3 times a month, and you've just spent your gym membership, your savings goal, or half your rent chasing a connection that probably never existed. But the real price isn't financial. It's emotional. Therapists say the old dating scripts, who calls first, who pays, when to open up, are gone. And what replaced them? Confusion, anxiety, second-guessing everything. Every message feels like a test. Every silence feels like rejection. And when dating becomes an exam you can't pass, men do the logical thing, they drop the class. They stop spending money on hope. They stop auditioning for approval. They delete the apps and redirect that time, energy, and cash into something that actually pays off themselves. Because men are finally realizing something radical. Peace is better than validation. Progress is better than chasing attention. And solitude is not loneliness, it's freedom. That $400 a month once spent on dinners and drinks after work, now it's a guitar, a gym membership, a language course, a motorcycle fund, a trip through Asia. Real-life upgrades instead of emotional bankruptcy. And what's funny is, the moment men stop chasing women, they start becoming the kind of men women chase. Because when your worth isn't determined by who texts you back, but by who you've become, that's when you win. Modern men aren't bitter. They're efficient. They've done the math, run the emotional cost-benefit analysis, and realized the ROI on dating in 2025 is laughable. So they're investing where it truly counts. In peace, purpose, and self-respect. And for the first time in decades, being single doesn't look lonely. It looks smart. Once men step away from modern dating, something surprising happens. Their minds go quiet. The constant noise of performing disappears. No more overanalyzing texts. No more pretending to be effortlessly confident. No more competing for validation that never lasts. At first, the silence feels strange. Then it starts to feel like peace. You see, for the first time in years, these men have space, mental, emotional, financial, to just be. And with that space, something starts to grow, purpose. They start waking up earlier. Not because they have to impress someone, but because they actually want to. They hit the gym not to post a thirst trap, but because it feels good to feel strong again. They take up hobbies, build side projects, travel, reconnect with old friends. And for the first time in forever, they realize something: happiness doesn't require an audience. Every dollar once spent on dates now becomes a small act of self-investment. $120 dinner? That's 3 months of guitar lessons. $40 bar tab? That's a new book or a gym pass or a weekend away with the guys. The dating fund transforms into a growth fund for confidence, peace, and freedom. And as this happens, men begin to notice something powerful. Their energy changes. Their faces look lighter. They laugh more. They sleep better. Because when you remove rejection from your weekly routine, your nervous system finally exhales. Therapists are seeing it too: calmer moods, better focus, sharper goals. When men stop chasing women, they start healing parts of themselves they didn't even know were broken. And here's the irony. Once men stop chasing, they become more attractive. Not because they're trying to impress, but because they finally don't need to. There's a magnetic calm that comes from not needing validation. A man who's focused, peaceful, and unbothered radiates something no dating profile ever could: self-mastery. And with that, a new kind of masculinity is being born, one not defined by how many women he can attract, but by how little he needs to. Because real men are starting to realize the most valuable thing they can offer the world isn't their charm. It's their peace. There's a quiet revolution happening. Not in protests or headlines, but in living rooms, gyms, garages, and coffee shops around the world. Men are unplugging from the dating matrix, not out of bitterness, out of clarity. They've realized something culture doesn't want them to see. Life without chasing validation is calmer, sharper, lighter. When you stop spending your evenings swiping, waiting, decoding texts, or competing for attention, you rediscover something ancient, your own rhythm. And in that rhythm, a new culture of men is forming. They're building tribes again. Real ones. Not group chats full of memes and complaints, but brotherhoods. Men who lift each other up, hold each other accountable, and remind one another that discipline is the new intimacy. You'll see it in the park at sunrise, a group of guys training together. You'll hear it in late-night conversations, men talking about investments, fitness, peace, travel plans, purpose. You'll feel it in the way they move, grounded, unbothered, focused. It's not about rejecting women. It's about rejecting chaos. Because modern dating isn't just exhausting, it's disorienting. It pulls men away from what makes them strong. But solitude brings them back. Without the pressure to constantly perform, men begin to perform better at life. They earn more, sleep more, think clearer. Their confidence isn't something they fake on a date anymore. It's something they build every day through action. And then something unexpected happens. The happiness that used to depend on another person starts to grow from within. The laughter feels different, more real. The weekends feel longer. The world feels simpler. Even their friendships change. They stop competing and start collaborating. They build together in business, in hobbies, in strength. Because when men stop fighting for attention, they start fighting for progress. And maybe for the first time, they're not lonely, they're free. No texts to decode. No hidden rules to follow. No anxiety about who's winning. Just men living deliberately, building quietly, and realizing something powerful. Peace is addictive. And once a man tastes that peace, he doesn't want to go back. There's a moment every man reaches. A quiet, almost sacred clarity. When he realizes that chasing love in the modern world has been draining him, not building him. And when he finally stops, when he truly steps back from the noise, something powerful happens. He begins to see his own life again. No more energy wasted trying to decode mixed signals or craft perfect messages for people who don't even know what they want. No more emotional investment into conversations that die mid-sentence. No more nights spent staring at a phone, waiting for validation that never comes. Now his focus shifts inward where it should have been all along. He wakes up with a purpose that doesn't depend on anyone else's attention. His mornings become cleaner, quieter. He pours his coffee, opens his laptop, hits the gym, builds projects, reads, creates. Every action begins to compound like interest on a long-term investment. And for the first time in years, he's not chasing dopamine. He's earning peace. He begins to value his time differently. The hours once spent scrolling through faces on a screen now go into building the life he actually wants to live. The money once burned on dinners and drinks goes into the future, into his health, his growth, his freedom. He becomes his own investment. And soon, his environment starts to change too. He attracts other men on the same path, the kind who don't waste time complaining about women or luck. They're too busy building. They talk about discipline, business, travel, mindset. They challenge each other, sharpen each other. They laugh without pretending. That's what no one tells you. When you stop chasing the wrong women, you find the right men. Brothers, not competitors. Builders, not beggars. And with that, something ancient returns, male peace. It's not loud. It's not angry. It's not bitter. It's calm, intentional, focused. He learns that the opposite of loneliness isn't romance. It's purpose. That the deepest connection doesn't come from another body in bed, but from alignment between his mind and his mission. He's no longer afraid of being alone, because he's not alone anymore. He's with himself. And that's a relationship modern men are finally rebuilding, the one with their own identity. He begins to see women differently, too. Not as saviors, not as prizes, but as people. He doesn't hate them. He just no longer needs them to define him. He's not chasing the one. He's becoming someone. And that's the paradox. When you stop begging for connection, you start radiating confidence. When you stop proving your worth, you start embodying it. When you stop needing love, you finally understand it. These men aren't broken. They're evolved. They've realized that happiness isn't something you find on a date. It's something you build in solitude. Because once a man understands that peace is power, no heartbreak can shake him. He's done auditioning for attention. He's done begging for affection. He's done explaining his value. He doesn't need validation anymore. He has results. The world calls him detached. He calls it free. He's not running from women. He's walking toward purpose. He's not avoiding love. He's learning to love his life. And somewhere in that quiet, disciplined solitude, he finds the one thing he was searching for all along: himself.